Welcome to Let's Talk Cardano, presented by the Cardano Foundation. In each episode, we delve deep into the transformative world of blockchain technology. Join us as we explore how blockchain is reshaping industries from finance to supply chain and talk with some of the key pioneers at the forefront of this revolution. All right here on Let's Talk Cardano.
In this episode of Let's Talk Cardano, we sit down with Cleo Martins to explore Reeve, the Cardano-powered platform, bringing transparency to financial reporting. Cleo breaks down how on-chain data can simplify audits, build trust, and help organizations share accurate information with confidence.
Good afternoon, Cleo.
Hi, Alex.
So good to have you today.
Thank you for having me.
Today, I would really like to talk about your little baby for the past 2 years. You've had the pleasure of creating really novel product called Reeve. But before we dive into the product itself, I'd really want to know about yourself. How did you get into the position of leading the development of the product? Who are you? What's your history?
I've been with the Cardano Foundation for the past 2.5 years in the position of finance product lead. And as you said, I've been working in Reeve since. My background is in accounting and finance. I have 20 plus years of experience. And when this opportunity came up, I just thought it will be a really cool thing to kind of wrap up all my experience and all my knowledge into something completely new, and voila, creating a product for the blockchain. And I thought it was like the opportunity I cannot miss. And, coming from the traditional finance and so on, creating something new, it's always a refreshing thing to do. So, yeah.
Sounds like a natural progression. Have you always been a little bit on the innovative, edgy side in your finance world? Because I know that the finance world is rather static and resistant to change.
You know, I work on as I said, on the accounting, corporate finance, banking finance, but always on the kind of backstage of things. And if you think that finance is traditional, the backstage of finance, it's very traditional, he's never client face. So it's like always difficult, always not the first priority. So you need to deal with lots of old stuff, and you just go really creative, you keep pushing to deliver, to get better, to create new things and new ways of working with the resources that you have. Sometimes they are good, sometimes they come timely, others not as much. So we just kind of keep creating things and finding new ways to deliver good quality in time to all our stakeholders. So I think it was always with me creating these new things, and that's why it came a little bit natural. Of course, creating a product is a little different from creating something that you need to work with, but it has been a really pleasure learning with this fantastic team and delivering something really meaningful.
I can imagine. If you think back 22.5 years when you first started in accounting and finance, how much has changed in your old role when you started and then when you left?
It was a lot, to be honest. It was a lot since the very beginning. So systems became far more robust. I start with black screens with green letters, still gives me hikes when I see that. And now systems are really more powerful. They respond better. They have capacities that were not even imagined at that time. Also the other resources all Microsoft Excel, which are best friends to accountants and finance team. So it's been a long way. So everything has been changing for better. You have better solutions for many different problems that at the time were kind of more manual or less automated. We also have, in terms of, frameworks, regulations, compliance requirements, and so on, has been kind of a really increasing kind of demanding process. For better, I must say, but also makes our life a little bit difficult sometimes, because when it's too much, and it's finding the right balance between having the quality that we need for everything you need to deliver, and when it's too much. So I think a lot has changed. I think we are definitely much, much better, and I think we continue progressing. So if you think nowadays, all the innovation that is coming is not only blockchain, is AI, is so many things happening at this moment. Is really an exciting time. But I guess it will take some time for kind of everyone to catch up to the best level. So yeah, the journey has been long, but very interesting.
You said that everything got better. How would you define better in that regard? I could imagine that better in this case means more automated, more efficient. Is that hunch right?
Yeah, it is. It is, like, definitely things got more automated. But for every good thing you get one new challenge as well. And when I look what's going on today, is like, it's so many things. I think it's really kind of challenging at times. And we could be speaking about this and talking and exchanging ideas like until tomorrow, probably, with a long list of issues and so on. I like to kind of put them in buckets, and then you just kind of look at them through one angle, and then you just split them as you need. But if you think about, I told you, like, things become simple to the extent that we have better frameworks to work and we have better systems. But the degree of complexity that everyone nowadays needs to face on a day-to-day work it's crazy, like, if you think accountants working in organizations that are big organizations, they need to deal with many different systems. They have kind of branches or parts of the organization in many different jurisdictions. You have multi-currency, multi-compliance, multi-systems, multi. And when you need to kind of somehow put all these things together and get a result that is really fast and really good, wow, you have a lot to deal with, and then you have also, in terms of stakeholders, I don't know if before was more or less. I think the way things have progressed, everybody wants everything very fast. The market moves very fast. It's very reactive. Every single information makes the market jump, and we are all getting used to this kind of speed. Like, do you have it? Why it's not there yet? What does this mean? Is this complete? Is this the final version? Fast. So you have complexity on one side. You have a large demand for speed on another side. Then you have the stakeholders, because the way everything is so interconnected, the stakeholders just explode, It's not like, because you need to believe in what you receive. You can't check more than that. The complexity doesn't allow you that all the time. And then you have all these kind of scandals, FTX, Wirecard, and just to name a few, not too old. And people start thinking, what if this happens again? How do you know? Like, everything was fine with them until the day it was not fine anymore. How can we, like, there is always this kind of I don't know, uncomfortable kind of comfort, if you allow me. And all this together, it's like a really mix. So I think the process are better, the systems are better, but the level of complexity and way the evolution brought us for today is also demanding more things and different things, which, again, with good things come bigger challenges as well.
It's well said. I think that traditional stereotypical picture that people may have of accountants sitting on their desks, rows and rows, and just filling out papers, really is far, far gone. You have to be a multidisciplinary individual to really be keeping up with all that innovation and speed.
Definitely.
Super interesting insights. For me personally, what fascinates me about blockchain still today is how this, and you mentioned it, trust aspect of trusting a ledger, an entry of transactions really is solved and decentralized. We don't have to trust one audit firm or one accountant's entries anymore that produces stuff like Wirecard and FTX and whatnot. So what Bitcoin really solved was agreeing to this list of things that has happened. Have you been similarly excited about that part of the technology? I'm not even talking about the smart contracts, but just the very basic implementation of blockchain.
I came across blockchain a few years back, and at the time it was not like the crypto stuff and that caught my attention. It was when I start understanding the technology and you start saying, you put the data there and it doesn't change anymore. If you want, you put more, but you can't change, like it just adds up. And I thought, oh my God, that's so cool. Like it's this feeling is like, you don't need to correct anymore. Like you need to trust. People can see it. And it's like, oh wow, that's so cool. This is going to change some things. Yeah, definitely. It was like, and I think the more, I think we are a long way for people understand blockchain and the power that it will bring. To be honest, I think we have more and more, thankfully, lots of people are working on it. More and more use cases are coming up. But I think until blockchain realizes its full potential, we are still not there. I think there are a few missing pieces there. I think education is one of them. Trust is another one, because blockchain brings trust, but like every new technology brings opportunistic agents, and they kind of produce bad results and bad image for the ones that really want to bring something new and better. So I think we still need to go a few steps forward, but when we get to the point where the technology delivers on its potential, or at least close to that, wow, I think we will be in a much better place. I do believe that. And this is one of the reasons why I was so excited to start working with Reeve, because I think it's one small step into that direction.
Really cool that you have found or discovered that potential and actually drew the connection between your experience and what would be possible. And quite inspiring for you to have made that progression from the old world into the new, recognizing that potential. I often feel the very same way. With your unique perspective, you have identified inefficiencies and have even solved them over the 20 years that you have been working there, and identified gaps. And now you're seeing this potential future. You're having glasses on that through your unique lens could really make a big difference with those accounting systems that you know in and out. How has it been for you to take those glasses and put them on somebody else's head and say, look, this is where we could get to? You've been in a selling position, probably among your private environment as well, because they were like, Cleo, you're joining a blockchain foundation? What is happening?
When I start saying people like, I'm going to join this organization and this is what I'm going to do, and they say, are you sure? What do you know about it? And I say, I don't know much, but I will go and I will learn. Like that's what we all need to do. It's there for us to learn. And if I have this opportunity, I will not miss it. And when I start working on Reeve and try to explain people what we were doing or what we are doing, but actually now is a bit different, but let's go back to the beginning and explain in kind of a very, very simple ways. Like the use case we are going to produce first is record financial transactions on chain. Everybody can see it. And then we put reports and, like it's going to be great. Everybody can see that, fully transparent. And I said like, what? you lost your mind. No one will ever do that. How are you going to put all the data on chain and everybody will see it? What if you make mistakes? How is people going to, it's like, come on guys, it's like we need to move from this kind of fear environment where like, yeah, of course we'll make mistakes. Of course we all make mistakes. Who doesn't? But that's the beauty of it. You make the mistake. Everybody sees your mistake, but you have the opportunity to show that you are doing a great job because you notice your mistake and you correct it. The other thing is like, and it's like, is the whole point of all this, right? It's like you put the data on chain. The data becomes immutable, tamper-proof. And then everybody can trace the data that you put from the end to the beginning, from the beginning to the end, just a part of it, the full of it. It doesn't matter. People just go and check. And then you have the people that really works for that, which are the auditors, and then you have your investors. They don't need to wait for you in 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, depends on now your reporting time, to come and check what you're doing. They check over time. You were asking me about the efficiencies and the new glasses. This is a really large one, because what you have is like auditors come to the organizations, depending on the size, of course. They might come twice a year. I don't know, depends on the once a year. And when they come, they stay with us. Like they come for a preparation and then they come 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 1 month, depends on the size, right? On the work. And during that period, they need to amass a massive amount of information. So you need to give them that time. They need to rush through things. You need to deliver, or you need to make available someone on your team to kind of support them, give them, answer them, all these things. And everything happens in this period of time. And you pay a lot of money for that. And then they are under pressure and they say, I will not be able to finish this, so you will not be able to deliver your results. I need to put more resource. You need to pay me more. There is this friction always going. And from the moment you put your data on chain on a regular basis, the ideal is, of course, every day, but depends on the business. Maybe every day does make sense. Some business does, or some part of business does, others don't. Doesn't matter, but you do it regularly, even if you do it once a month. The auditors can come every month for half a day. They check your data. They validate whatever they want to validate. They know it will not change. Then the next month they come and do the job. Half a day, in small pieces. They clarify questions, they identify problems, they help you to improve. When they come to the end of the year, or whatever period, they need to sign off your accounts. The work is done, and they have time not to do like a rush work where they need to increase their teams and so on to deliver for every client, but they can actually add more value. And when you pay, even if you pay the same, you pay for more value because they are not kind of checking your paper quickly. They are kind of amassing all the information and telling you, you know what, we noticed this, and for next year maybe you can do different and you can do this and that, and then your business can benefit from this option and not the other. So their role will change completely. This is kind of mind-blowing, right? It's like and when we talk to auditors, and we talk with a few, at the beginning, it was this feeling is like, no one is going to do that. And now we start talking and they say, it's actually a good thing. Can we talk more about that? You really see as blockchain and all these applications become more and more common and people talk more, the behavior really starts. And we're talking about a period of 1.5 2 years. It's like, it's really, really amazing. And we are talking about just the cases of financial reporting, right? But you can use this example and extend it for so many use cases. One of the things that we are asked often is like, Reeve, who is Reeve for? Who wants to use Reeve? And I laugh always and I say, well, everybody can use Reeve because it's like some it's a platform for transparency and trust. So who can afford not deal with these two things, right? But of course, there are businesses that are more sensitive for these questions of trust and so on. So those are the ones, and no-brainer is NGOs, charities, not-for-profit, all these organizations that really rely on the trust of their stakeholders. But the one I really like to bring up as well, it's governments. Think about governments. Think about you go and you need to vote. And you need to decide between a guy that promises a new bridge and the guy that promises a new road or a new school. And then you decide, right? And who are you going to decide for if one tells you, I'm going to bridge, I don't know exactly how it's going to be, but it's going to be good. And the other guy come and say, I will show you everything from the beginning to the end, how the money is going to be kind of funded, how the money is going to be spent, we are going to pay for, when, why, all these things. Who do you trust the most, right? And in this case is accountability that is on the table, right? So people need to kind of want to be responsible for what they are elected for in the case of those. But the management is the same. Management needs to be responsible and accountable for their role and for the decisions that they make. So, I really think a big step forward when we start thinking about this is really shifting from this mentality of, here we have the numbers. There are a lot of numbers. Trust them, because I'm telling you, I work really hard to get them done. And, here are my numbers, here my address on the blockchain. Go and check for yourself. If you have questions, I'll be here to help, but everything is there. And then people just go every time. You don't need to have massive teams preparing specific reports for this and for that. Look, it's there. Everybody can use it, and the data will be available. Everybody can interact from different perspectives. So I see a really big shift here, a really big shift.
Deep example with the government sounds super enticing and actually self-fulfilling in a way. If a politician that wants to get voted for would really take that as their USP in the election, that would make a difference.
When we talk about this, we tend to look through the angle of organizations. Organizations want to be trusted. They are innovative. They find ways to meet their stakeholders' needs, to answer their requests, and all these things, because it will be a return. But if you think, and I love this idea, that's exactly what you say, is how powerful is this, that at the end, you as a user, as a taxpayer, as an investor, as a donor, in all the many different ads that you wear, you can actually push for this change and be part of this shift, because then you say, wait a second, this organization is showing me how they spend. Even if I don't I can see everything. And I don't know how it is. If you're talking about NGOs, is it for traveling? Is it for kids in Asia or Africa or Europe, wherever, refugees? Is it right or is it wrong? If I can see it, it's different, right? So then it's you driving, and because you choose. I choose one that gives me the information and not one that asks me to trust without me being able to prove. You are really shifting, and you are bringing two different forces together to kind of a point where it's it's going to be magic. I'm looking forward to that.
The more you talk about it, the more it seems inevitable that we will see this, because at some point when somebody starts, everybody else will go, oops, I also have to do that. I want to address the elephant in the room, or one elephant in the room that I currently see. We've talked about all these open data, open books, NGOs that are incentivized to open up, governments that even have the duty in some cases to really open up. What about the cases where privacy is actually relevant? When a company doesn't want to make public what their bill of material is for a specific product. They don't want to announce a partnership yet. They don't want to, where it's actually relevant that the numbers are private. There are legitimate cases where open data is probably not the best result. How does Reeve, or how would you go about that?
Yeah, well, that's clear. Like when we advocate for transparency, or in some cases radical transparency, you really need to find the balance between being transparent and being compliant and protecting the privacy that needs to be protected. Business still need privacy to work. People that work with the business, being him, other organizations, as you said, with business that are kind of still running, or contracts that are still being discussed, other types of secrets, employees, like all these things, this needs to be protected. So it's not my personal or Reeve's policy that, no, we deliver everything. No, we really need to find that right balance between delivering what needs to be delivered, but protecting what needs to be protected. And in Reeve, this is kind of by design present, because the rules of what are the choice of what we put on chain, it's customized by every organization. And by default, everything that is kind of really personal data, for example, because that we can identify, will not go on chain, will stay off chain. Of course, like at this moment, Reeve is still in very beginning. We have a long way to go, and we are kind of creating a very, very simplified approach where we minimize. It's the first step of defense to minimize the data and create all the customizable rules needed to address potential data that is there, so it doesn't go on chain. So we have those defenses. Of course, we will move into models that might be more complex, different types of data, different organizations. And in this case, we will address those questions case by case, because you have multiple different options, but also depends on what you want to make available. You might not make anything available because it's not relevant for the evaluation of your performance, for example. But you might have cases where you really need to make the data available on kind of demand or by authorized users to access that data. And for that, you need different solutions. So it's going to be on a one by case, but it's definitely a cornerstone for Reeve and for sure for other applications that work with blockchain, because privacy is not negotiable. It's part of also the transparency, right? So you just need to find this right balance between the two things. Mm-hmm. But protecting privacy is different from opacity. And when we talk about transparency, what we are kind of overcoming is the opacity, is the kind of what we cannot see but needs to be seen or can be seen, right? So we cannot kind of mix up these two things. There are different kind of levels of discussions.
I wanted to somewhat say to some of your previous statement, because it reminded me a bit of the tech world when you said that accounting and auditing accounting could really be an iterative process, a monthly process, instead of this one-shot November to January kind of stressed out mission that is extremely error-prone and, as you said, mm-hmm. creates friction and also no stability for the audit firms, because every company needs to close their books by the end of the year. Did you, in your conversations with auditors, see the realization of the auditor where they see, this iterative, it's a bit like agile development, like software development used to be very waterfally. Mm-hmm. And now it is iterative, agile. We learn, we correct mistakes, we implement. That same model seems to translate really well into the new age of accounting, if you allow me that phrase.
Yeah, no. I think it's a good parallel. We have been discussing with the auditors, with our own auditors, to kind of getting them used with this idea, collect their feedback, see how they feel about this. But honestly, I will not disclose many details at this moment. But I think it's inevitable. Like I think what needs to happen is to have one doing it. Like it's kind of leading by example. Like nothing is possible until it's done. This is a very well-known quote, right? But that's very true. Like when you talk about people, about those things to people, they say, no, it's never going to happen. Like until it's done. And when it's done, it's like, oh, actually, you know what? Like that's and this is the beauty. Like when we did this, our use case with CF, it's like, oh, now it's done, and it's like we are really leading the way. Like we are leading by example and showing that is possible, and people start saying, oh, wait a second, maybe this is really something. Maybe we don't need all this, but maybe this will work. What do you think? Like people start asking why, or can we do this or not? Like these kind of things, and new use case. Actually, we are very focused on financial information because that's our first use case. We went live with it recently, but actually we are now expanding because Reeve is not only for financial reporting. We are kind of it's really a platform, and we can kind of grow in many different directions with always the same purpose, which is this transparency and this kind of openness to kind of sharing this information in a transparent way. And many use cases are coming up, like small ones that will kind of grow into big ones. Like
For example, where or which other application?
I will not give many details because they are not formalized, but we are going to show a very interesting one in the summit. It's like just the first step. And this is some sort of tracing, transparency for tracing how, for example, rewards are being generated, because those rewards will be kind of paid out to different organizations. And so we need to show up people, instead of saying, I'm paying this, you need to show why is this and not more. Where is the money going? And if you are paying, when are you paying? 2 days later or on the right day? Like this is like the level of details we want people to start questioning, because that's what we will achieve with this level of transparency. But wait for the summit and we will show you more.
Yeah, I'll definitely be excited for that announcement.
Yeah, we have NGOs, for example, talking with NGOs, potential to kind of tracing where is their funding coming from, how is it spent, because all NGOs have lots of different projects, but they have also their own activities. How is this spent? And then a very interesting point, because that's the beauty of this, like you start talking about something and then you start kind of bringing more, because if you think about NGO, when you say, I'm going to build schools, you build schools, or I'm going to pay for research for whatever, I don't know, some sort of medication or treatment for a given illness. Yeah, you give the money. You give millions of euros or dollars for research. And what comes out of it? Is something progressing? Are you really finding cure, or medication, or supporting for those people? And then you start thinking, wait a second, I give money, I prove that I give money, but I can ask them to prove on their progress, on their deliverables. And it could be also transparent, is like the ESG claims. Everyone is kind of compliant with old guidelines and so on. But then you say, okay, prove me. And then suddenly you have a new term in your dictionary about greenwashing and stuff like that. Why? Because everybody claims, but no one proves. So we are really shifting that moment where people start asking, okay, if you say so, can I see it? Like, and the ends are really kind of full circle, like it starts from one point and then you create all these massive movements where things come together for one purpose: proving or showing what you're doing and creating this kind of strong bond between stakeholders and organizations, whatever type they are.
We've spoken about change. We've spoken about traditional systems, new ones, people realizing the potential, putting on different glasses, saying it's inevitable. Somebody has to start on a practical level. And oftentimes it really boils down to how easy it is to plug one system in. How easy is it to actually create the change required so that we are ending up at a better place? How, through your glasses, because you do exactly know how these old systems work, would you imagine how easy is it to implement Reeve into a traditional organization that's ran the same books and Excel sheets and ERP systems and all these accounting tools for ages?
Mm-hmm.
How does that new world plug into the old world so that the change can actually happen?
I'll tell you how Reeve works at these moments, and then I'll tell you how it could work, or like from my modest place, how I see this that could kind of evolve. Like at this moment, Reeve is not ERP or an accounting system or any other type of system that produces data. Reeve is just a platform that records the existing data on chain, right? So, and what we do is we need to feed the data, and it could be through APIs, or it could be even through uploading CSV for more simple cases that require less effort. So we basically don't require any change on legacy systems. We just kind of plug. So we just need to find this right way to plug with those APIs. And then, of course, every system will bring some changes. We also require initial effort, but we are designed to kind of minimize the impact because our purpose is not creating more problems or more work. So as soon as the setup is complete, then it should run absolutely smooth. Reeve is also modular, so you don't need to kind of start working with every module or every requirement or anything. So you just grow according to your own needs. You get used, you find new needs, and we work to kind of deliver on those. Now, how do I see this going in the future? The biggest ERPs or systems already start integrating with blockchain, and you see this on the tracing, like products tracing, stocks between organizations, and all these things. So the integration is already happening, but for more operational purposes. What we propose is like, don't stop there. Just pick on your financial data and make it available, because it's just the next step on one process that it's inevitable, which is reporting, right? So what I see that is happening is sooner or later, the systems will integrate, and based on the needs of every client, they will kind of record on chain that information. And I think that instead of having different systems and different kind of sources of data inside organizations, and this is also one of the topics we discussed earlier, like you have different points, and if you have to kind of bring them all together, it's a big mess. So if you put everything on chain, actually, the blockchain becomes your unique source of truth, where all systems kind of put the data, and then it's a big pool, and it's from there that you work, and not this one plus that one, this one plus the other one. So it's just one source of truth where everybody can source their own needs. So I think it's inevitable. It will come. They start from the operational side, which is obviously a really good thing, but it will not stop there.
That really does sound easy enough. Also, just to try
I don't
as
know
an
if
experiment.
it's easy, but it will happen.
Yeah. Maybe to close off, one last personal question. I've been in the blockchain space since so long and have been seeing all these new exciting innovations being spun up from technology. There has been always this techie idea, some developer who has a great application and just technically interesting use case. And then he realizes, maybe let's make a company out of it. So the past decade and longer have really been dev-driven, tech-driven. It was the age of the developers. You coming into this world as a complete non-techie, but with this mindset of using the technology in order to help me here, really is more of a the eyes of an entrepreneur who sees a problem and uses technology to find a solution.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's really necessary for the whole ecosystem, for the whole blockchain space, not only for Cardano, that we transition away from the age of devs, age of tech, to the age of entrepreneurs.
Mm-hmm.
And you're leading the example in my eyes a little bit there. How has it been from your end being in this very tech-driven and very smart environment without actually being able to talk on the same technical level, but showing the techies, look, that's where we actually need to go?
Well, I must say you couldn't choose a better word to a better question to finish this, because I don't even know where to start. Sometimes I feel my job is a translator, because as you said, like everything on the blockchain space, it's around devs and crazy ideas and let's make it work now. And I come from the business side, like I know nothing about tech. So everything I need to tell them, look, this is how it should work. Can you please make it work? And they say, why do you do like that? And I say, just do it. But of course, it's not enough saying just do it. I need to explain them. So that's why I say I'm sometimes a translator. And they are also translators for me, because they need to say, look, it's not that simple. You really need to go around this and do this way. And this is how it's going to look like. But it's going to work because that's how it works. When you ask me, this is my kind of personal experience since the beginning. And I do think that it's very funny that you ask me that, because when everybody wants to create this business, right? But they are tech guys, very creative for sure. Like there are ideas that are, wow, mind-blowing, really cool. But then the way we live nowadays, a business requires structure. It's not just a good idea and some piece of code. You need more than that. And what I think is that since the beginning, blockchain and all these great things, these tech things, are too techy and they forgot the other part. I think it came from this idea that we are going to be so decentralized that we can live by ourselves. And it's like, well, maybe not, and what I start feeling, and you see this when bigger organizations, more organized organizations, if you allow me the expression, start using blockchain, and they are finding it really hard to translate what happens on chain to their systems, to their reports, it's like you make a payment on chain, any chain. And it's like, how do you translate that? First, how do you take the data out? And then all these codes, how do you translate this into debits and credits? And that's the formats are different in every chain. And it's like, guys, why didn't you think about this before? Because it's just adding one little thing on the code and the data will be ready to be used for every system. But that's not what happened, And I think now we kind of, we start from one point and now we need to go one step back to bring everybody together so we can work together in a new space. But it's not enough code. Business is necessary. So I guess it's like hand on hand code and developers and great ideas need the support of the business, the compliance, the accounting, and all these things. And we, on the business side, need the technology. So it's together that we need to build this. Of course, I know that blockchain comes from some radical ideas like, no, everything is wrong and we're going to do everything right. It's like, well, lots of things are wrong, but not everything. And it's not being so radical that maybe brings the solution. I think we need always to find some balance between all these things.
Symbiosis.
Yes. Support of the best. You bring the best of both sides and you make something magic.
Amazing. I think that's a beautiful way to end today's conversation. I'm extremely thankful for your time. It was super insightful. I hope you have fun at the summit. We'll definitely see each other there. I'm going to look forward to your announcement and what else is coming to Reeve apart from finance.
Well, thank you for having me. It was great. It's always great to have these conversations. And yeah, I'll see you and everyone else in the summit. So let's go for it. Thank you, Alex.
Thank you for joining us on Let's Talk Cardano. For more insights and deep dives into the world of blockchain, don't forget to subscribe and reach us at cardanofoundation.org, where you'll find extra resources and content on all things blockchain. Leave us a review wherever you enjoy podcasts. Follow us on social media and stay tuned for more coming soon.